Everybody, I'm Yvette Brusual. You know, in recent days, a household name in the world of Central Florida politics has made headlines because of a wedding. So why is this wedding such a big deal? Well, when you combine the tough world of politics, okay, a doctor, a medical doctor who wants to be a politician, recently married to a congressman who wants to be a senator, well, things get complicated. First, let's talk about the lay of the land when it comes to politics. Dr. Grayson, we're going to meet her in a moment. She's running in Congressional District 9, okay? The district stretches from eastern Orlando, southeast, goes into the cities of Kissimmee and St. Cloud, where there's a booming Hispanic population, a lot of industrial jobs are on the line, among many other things, and that particular part of Central Florida. So let's go ahead and talk to our guests right now. Two candidates from the same household, Representative Dena Grayson running for U.S. Senate, and Dena Grayson, Dr. Grayson, running for U.S. House District 9, your husband's current seat. So we'll get to you, Congressman, in just a moment. We've talked about you many times. You've been on the show for many, many years. But Dr. Dena Minning Grayson is now here on the show because we want to talk about District 9. First of all, let's talk about your life. You're a medical doctor?
I'm a medical doctor and I'm a research doctor. I have both a medical doctorate degree in MD as well as a PhD in biochemistry.
So you've treated patients?
I have treated patients. I've treated patients without insurance, our nation's veterans. It's really been a great privilege.
So you're running for the seat that your husband currently holds right now. Taking a look at the big picture, some would assume and have said in different blogs and different news outlets that you could be a political operative. Why would you want to, throw your hat into the ring of the same race that your husband is going to soon be leaving vacant so he can run for the U.S. Senate? Is this part of some sort of bigger plan for the Grayson household to just have a significant role in politics here in the state of Florida?
No, actually, it really is quite simple, Yvette. We firmly believe in public service. I'm a native of Central Florida. My family moved here 60 years ago.
Have you ever run for office before?
I've never run for office, but I've spent my life improving people's health and been dedicated to helping other folks. And I just see running for public office as an extension of that.
Do you understand what some of the critics say, though? People a lot of times have credentials out the wazoo, and that doesn't amount to a lot, but name recognition does carry a lot of weight. So whenever people are going to look at their ballots and go, wait a minute, I know that last name, I'm just going to check that off. Is that fair to say that that fuels the fire for you to be a public servant, or is it just to help him continue his legacy?
Look, again, my motives are very simple. I want to help my local community. And as far as credentials go, I'd be the first MD, PhD ever elected to Congress. I would be the first physician congresswoman ever to serve a full term. We spend 1/6 of our GDP on health care. I think we need leaders in Washington that understand health care from soup to nuts, from basic research to patient care. As you know, we have over 20% of folks here in Central Florida that have no insurance, and over 40% of Latinos have no insurance and can't see a doctor when they're sick. Who better to fight for the folks of Central Florida than a doctor?
Say this as I sit here. I've interviewed Congressman Grayson multiple times at the convention 4 years ago, at multiple events here in studio. To sit here and watch him look at you, he's somebody who's very sure of himself, does not mince words, does not hold back, and it seems like you have met your match, Congressman Grayson. Where did you guys meet?
We met on an airplane, but that's a better story for her to tell.
On an airplane?
Yes.
I met my husband on an airplane. It's a true story.
Women should fly more. So.
Well, let's hear your story.
Yeah, 14 years of marriage. We'll leave it at that. But he came into the plane. I looked at him. I said, "That's my guy," and that was 14 years ago. People don't believe that it can happen.
Absolutely. Well, we were very similarly. We were on a plane together, and as you pointed out earlier, my husband is rather tall at 6'4", and I'm rather vertically challenged at 5'1", and he helped me with my bags as we were departing the plane. Introduced himself. I introduced myself. I scurried off the plane because I was meeting with some scientists on a cure for Ebola that I've been developing for about the last 6 years that also works against Zika virus. And so I was in a rush to get off the plane. Luckily, Alan has very long legs and tracked me down, and the rest is really history.
Okay, we'll talk about his legs some other time.
Let's talk about the Zika virus.
We can talk about the Zika virus. Actually, let's talk about it for a minute, and then we'll get into the social media component of both of your campaigns. What's the research that you're doing on that?
Sure. So about 6 years ago, I started developing a medicine that can treat various viruses, really nasty viruses like Ebola, the bird flu. And at the time, we really Zika wasn't on the radar screen. But once Zika unfortunately appeared in South America, we tested the medicine against Zika virus. It also appears to have activity against that. So I started working on this medicine long before the outbreak of Ebola that everyone heard about a few years ago in West Africa, because it wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when.
And this is so important not just for Florida, but for Puerto Rico. Even
Absolutely.
more important for Puerto Rico right now.
It is. It's truly become ground zero of this huge epidemic problem, and it's really a component of both two things: the babies who are just developing, and then they have these awful problems if they're affected by the virus, but also now the whole sexually transmitted component element, which takes it to a whole new level. Let me ask you this:
Sure.
Does he advise you at all, or your staff, when it comes to social media outreach?
None whatsoever.
Okay.
All of those, everything on social media is
So when we
doing.
see you tweeting the following, this is you. You tweeted recently, as a female doctor, I support a woman's hashtag right to choose. Providers of safe abortion should not fear for their lives.
Absolutely, that's me.
As a doctor, I've treated gun violence victims. Enact hashtag gun control with universal hashtag background checks. Close ammunition loophole. And then some other stuff that you say you agree with Joe Biden when it comes to treating cancer and research. So that's your tweeting.
100%. Look, as a physician, I have treated victims of gunshot violence. It is horrific. We have guns on the streets. We don't have, universal background checks. We don't have, you can buy loads of ammunition. You need a license to drive a car, but anybody can walk into a gun shop and get a gun. We have people that are on the TSA watch list that can go to a gun show and buy a gun, but they can't board an aircraft. This is a problem in our country. We have an epidemic of gun violence.
We've talked about health care. We've talked about gun control. We've talked about so many things. Crystal ball time. Let's say that the two of you win. You win the Senate. You win the House Congressional District 9 seat. You would be, I've read somewhere that you would become the first, the spouse combo to be sitting in office with these kinds of positions. How does that make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel that we can do wonderful things for the people of Central Florida and all of Florida. One of the difficult things about my job as a member of Congress is that there's almost no communication at all between the House and the Senate, but you have to pass a bill by getting the House and Senate to work together. So if we had a husband-wife team representing Florida and specifically Central Florida in Congress, we could do amazing things for people.
The wedding picture that everybody keeps talking about, you with your Hawaiian shirt, but nobody ever talks about your dress. It had little hearts on it. Looking ahead, do you see yourself honestly staying together? This is a very, very tall order to have two very powerful people wanting to get married.
I mean,
forever and a day. Forever and a day.
All right. Well, thank you so much for both coming in here. We appreciate your time. Alan Grayson and Dr. Dena Grayson. Doctor, running for U.S. Senate and U.S. House, respectively. And now it's time for this week's Political Connections Bureau Poll question. That may be a first. Guest kissing on set. We want to know the following. Do you think the new congressional district line